What was happening in the dungeons of Wewelsburg Castle? Why were 12 SS generals there every month at the full moon? Why were there ancient Germanic symbols on the walls? And most importantly, what purpose did the mysterious sunroom at the center of that castle serve? These questions seem destined to remain unanswered even in 2026. Don't forget to add your comments while watching the story. Follow my channel for more. 1935, the historic Wewelsburg Castle near Paderborn in northwestern Germany. This triangular medieval castle had stood silent and ruined for centuries, until Heinrich Himmler discovered it. Himmler was mesmerized the moment he saw the castle. Its triangular structure reminded him of ancient Germanic symbols. He believed the castle had mystical energy, and most importantly, this would be the spiritual center of the SS. Himmler bought the castle and began rebuilding it. But this wasn't an ordinary restoration. The castle would become the center of one of Nazi Germany's darkest projects, the project to transform the SS into a mystical order. To understand Heinrich Himmler, one must look into his inner world. Himmler wasn't just an SS leader, he was also an obsessive mysticism enthusiast. He had grown up in a Catholic family during childhood, but in his youth, he had distanced himself from Christianity and turned to ancient Germanic mythology. Thor, Odin, Wotan. These gods weren't just legends to him, they were real. In the 1920s, he had been deeply influenced by the occultism movement, astrology, numerology, summoning spirits. He was interested in all of these. He had a private library, 13,000 books, all about mysticism, witchcraft, and ancient religions. Himmler's goal was simple: to revive the mystical power of the Germanic race, and for this, to make the SS not just a military organization, but a spiritual order. During the restoration work that began in 1936, Wewelsburg was completely transformed. Himmler was designing the castle according to his own mystical vision. The most important part of the castle was the North Tower. 2 rooms in this tower were the secret center of the SS Obergruppenführersaal, General's Hall. Located on the first floor, this hall was where 12 SS generals gathered, a round table with 12 chairs around it, just like King Arthur's round table. But the purpose of this table wasn't to tell chivalric tales. Gruft, crypt room. Located in the basement, this was the castle's most mysterious place. A giant swastika carved into the stone floor, a round pit in the center. This room was also called the Sun Room. The walls of each room were covered with ancient Germanic symbols, runic writings, mythological figures, and astrological signs. The castle now looked like an active temple, not a museum. Every full moon, a mysterious ritual was performed at Wewelsburg. 12 SS generals gathered in the Obergruppenführersaal. Each of these generals had their own special place at the round table. These 12 people had been carefully selected by Himmler. Not just their military abilities, but their beliefs were important. Each was deeply devoted to ancient Germanic culture, believers in occult rituals. How did the meetings proceed? According to participants' memories, 30 minutes of silent meditation, communication with the spirits of ancient Germanic ancestors, determining war plans according to the stars, oath of loyalty to the SS until death. The strangest part was that each general kept their own totem, spirit object, at the table. This was believed necessary for their spirits to remain in the castle after their deaths. The castle's most mysterious part was the Gruft, located in the basement. The exact function of this room is unknown, but witnesses' statements are terrifying. There was a round pit in the center of the room. Swastika symbols were carved around this pit. The walls were covered with black marble. The only light source was the small window in the ceiling. What happened in this room? According to some witnesses, blood sacrifices were offered in this room before important operations. Animal blood, and sometimes the blood of other things. Himmler was trying to summon the spirits of ancient Germanic leaders, especially King Heinrich's spirit. Astrologers and mediums were trying to predict the course of the war in this room. According to the most horrific claim, a special furnace was also built in this room where SS generals would be cremated after their deaths. The existence of these rituals was considered legend for many years, until documents emerging from German archives in the 1990s revealed the truth. In a document from the SS archive, there was Himmler's special budget request for Wewelsburg. These budget items were written as follows: for ritual materials, 50,000 marks. For astrology consultant salaries, 25,000 marks. For ancient symbol carving, 75,000 marks. For secret room construction, 100,000 marks. Even more striking were the records of the organization called SS Ahnenerbe, SS Ancestral Heritage Society. In these records were details of the research conducted at Wewelsburg. Occult objects brought from Tibet expeditions, artifacts extracted from ancient Germanic temple ruins, witchcraft books and manuscripts, astrology instruments, and crystal spheres. The SS Ahnenerbe, founded in 1935, was officially an organization for researching German ancestral heritage. But what they actually did was very different. Wolfram Sievers, who headed the organization, was Himmler's mystical vision partner. Their goal was to prove occultism through scientific methods. SS Ahnenerbe projects, Tibet expedition. The team sent to Tibet in 1938 to 1939 under the leadership of Ernst Schaeffer had collected occult objects under the pretext of searching for the origins of the Aryan race. Iceland research, researching witchcraft symbols under the pretext of studying Iceland's ancient runes. Otherworld research, scientific research on summoning spirits, telepathy, and the sixth sense. A total of 40 million marks had been spent on these projects. The same money could have produced 2,000 tanks. These mystical activities were beginning to disturb Hitler. Hitler was a pragmatic politician. He didn't believe in occult rituals and saw them as a waste of time. In 1941, there was a heated argument between Hitler and Himmler. Hitler had said, "Heinrich, we're waging war, not witchcraft." But Himmler didn't give up. He secretly continued the rituals. He even went further. He began giving occult training to SS officers. From 1940 onwards, SS officers received not only military training, but also mystical training. This training covered the following topics: stories of gods like Thor, Odin, Freya, learning the ancient Germanic alphabet decision-making techniques according to the stars, exercises to develop inner power. The strangest part was that SS officers adopted spiritual names. For example, Adolf Eichmann's spiritual name was Arne. SS officers who received this training saw themselves as superior to ordinary soldiers. They were chosen warriors, armed with mystical powers. The behavior of SS troops on the battlefield was also influenced by their mystical beliefs, rituals they performed before going to war. They drew runic symbols on their helmets and uniforms. They cut their fingers and mixed their blood. They asked for power from the war god Wotan. They swore that even if they died, their spirits would continue to fight. These rituals made SS soldiers fanatical. They thought they were fighting not just for Hitler, but for ancient gods. Horrifyingly, there were occult elements even in concentration camps. SS guards saw these camps not just as places of punishment, but as spiritual cleansing mechanisms. In some camps, runic symbols were used on gates, swastika symbols were carved in barracks. SS guards performed purification rituals. This mystical dimension increased the horror of the camps even more, because SS guards saw what they did as a sacred duty. In the spring of 1945, when Allied forces began entering Germany, panic began at Wewelsburg. Himmler began burning all secret documents in the castle. Ritual objects were destroyed, secret rooms were dynamited. The goal was to prevent the exposure of the SS's mystical dimension. On March 31, 1945, when American troops approached Wewelsburg, Himmler came to the castle one last time. He spent 2 hours alone in the Gruft. What he did is unknown. On April 1st, the castle was completely evacuated. As SS officers fled, priceless occult objects were left behind. When American forces captured Wewelsburg on April 2, 1945, they were shocked. They couldn't believe what they found inside the castle. According to Colonel Robert Patterson's report, the castle looked like a structure from medieval times, but it had modern facilities inside. The strangest part was that the walls were covered with ancient symbols. In the basement was a round room with a deep pit in the center. The Americans extracted the following objects from the castle: 3,000 occult books, hundreds of astrology charts, ancient runic writing samples, crystal spheres, and witchcraft instruments, 12 specially made silver goblets. The most interesting find was bones extracted from the basement. It was never determined whether these bones were human or animal. In the post-war period, Allied intelligence investigated the occult dimension of the SS goal to prevent the recurrence of such fanaticism. The research results were shocking. 65% of the SS had mystical beliefs. 40,000 SS officers had received occult training. A total of 200 million marks had been spent on occult projects. The most striking finding was that this mystical belief had made the SS more ruthless. SS officers who saw themselves as chosen recognized no moral boundaries. Heinrich Himmler was captured by British forces on May 23, 1945. Even during captivity, he didn't give up his mystical beliefs. According to the testimonies of captured SS leaders, Himmler was still studying astrology charts in his final days. He believed the stars would save him. Himmler committed suicide with a cyanide capsule when he was about to be interrogated. His last words are rumored to have been, "Wotan is calling me." Archaeological excavations conducted at Wewelsburg in the 2000s revealed new horrifying details. In the castle's dungeons, human bones, sacrificial knives, bowls decorated with witchcraft symbols, burned organic matter. These findings showed that the rituals were much more brutal than estimated. How do modern psychologists analyze the occult dimension of the SS? According to Dr. Michael Stone, Himmler established a religion-like system to fanaticize his army. This system pushed SS officers beyond normal moral boundaries. 3 fundamental factors. SS officers felt chosen. They believed they had powers that ordinary people didn't have. They thought everything they did was sacred. This combination created a fanaticism rarely seen in history. Today, Wewelsburg is a museum. Visitors can learn about the castle's dark past, but they still don't know its mysterious aspects. The Gruft Room is completely closed to visitors because there are people who still believe this room has bad energy. In fact, some visitors claim to have experienced paranormal events in this room. Castle management doesn't accept these claims and continues to keep the room closed. Heinrich Himmler's mystical obsession made the SS one of history's most ruthless organizations. Wewelsburg Castle became the center of this dark vision. Even now, the castle hasn't been fully illuminated. What actually happened in the Gruft Room, what rituals the 12 generals performed, and what victims were sacrificed are not fully known. This story shows how dangerous it can be when ideology and mysticism combine. People can commit all kinds of atrocities in the name of a sacred purpose. But what about today? Do similar mystical obsessions exist? Do leaders still seek support from mystical powers? Are there still secrets in Wewelsburg's dungeons that haven't been revealed? Do the spirits of the 12 generals still gather at that round table? Please write your answers to these questions in the comments.